Astley on Ballz.
I'm definitely going to have to get a more educated panel in front of me, or sitting blank-eyed in front of me. What an incredible song, taken from an album called Free. It is the one and only Rick Astley, and the song called Cry for Help. Joining us from the UK somewhere, we interrupted your session this afternoon apparently. Welcome to Ballz Visual Radio, Rick Astley.
Hi, how you doing?
Top class, top class. I've got to apologize up front because I was responsible for not making the Free album sell very well here in South Africa, because I was the promoter.
Is that right? You're to blame.
I'm to blame, so I take full responsibility. But I got to tell you, what an incredible song. Aren't you a little bit disappointed it never sort of achieved the heights it should have?
Well, that song did all right in different places, to be honest. It was a top 10 in America and obviously in the UK and stuff, and different territories. So, to be honest, I never really used to look. I was so lucky that, you know, I got a few singles away in such a way that, you know, it just made me just not really look. I know that sounds probably big-headed, but I just mean Never Gonna Give You Up, my first tune, was such a big hit around the world and everything. And I just, after that, I gave up looking at charts. It was a bit immaterial, really. You know, it was just kind of, I don't know, it was funny. I never really had that struggle where, you know, you put out single number 1, number 2, number 3, and then finally have a hit kind of thing. It just happened straight away, and I guess I was a bit spoilt with that. But in a way, it was a good thing, because it just took the edge off and the pressure off whether we had, you know, big hits or not, because I'd had a few, and it just made me just chill out a little bit, I think, you know. So.
Well, I think by saying having a few is a little bit modest. I mean, you had monster hits in when your career just took off with the Sawmill back in those beginning days. But it's amazing. Sure. Amazingly, Rick, it's sort of like gone full circle, because all of a sudden, I'm not saying that you lost or wasn't flavor of the month. All of a sudden, you very much the whole 80s revival, and Rick Astley is Rick rolling all over over the world again.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I retired, to be honest, so I definitely wasn't flavor of the month. I quit, you know, I kind of walked away, and I was happy to do that. You know, I'd had a good few years at it, and I really enjoyed my time and everything, but I think I just woke up one morning and I just kind of realised there was more to life than doing what I was doing. And then over a period of time, you know, we had a daughter as well, and I was a dad, you know, and I just kind of thought, you know what, I'm not so sure I've got the same hunger for it. So I did quit, and I, you know, don't regret that in any way. And then this last 5 or 6 years, I started, you know, doing gigs again, and I really enjoy it. And I think because I haven't been doing it for 25 years, it's one of the reasons I do enjoy it. You know, it's kind of doing something a little bit different again, you know, from what I've been doing.
So Rick, what were you doing when you quit? I mean, you know, you sort of quit life. You've made a few £100 million. What do you do? Just
not quite yet, but yeah, no, I did really well. Listen, I made some money, obviously, and to be honest, I can't give you a great answer. I'm going to have to make one up, I think. You know what I mean? I became a deep sea diver or something, because I basically took stock of my life for quite a while. For a few years, you know, that's all I'd known really, was just messing around with music since I was like a teenage kid, 15 or what have you. I think I retired when I was about 27. And, you know, I had some growing up to do, for one thing, you know, and I never even used to even pay a bill or check out of a hotel or into one, or, you know, I never knew where I was going half the time. It was just get into a really nice big black limo car, what have you, and get taken to another airport. And, you know, I had some reality checks, I think, to get along with, and I wanted some sort of, I wouldn't call it normality, but I wanted some sort of regularity to my life, I think, you know, and so I've got an unbelievably tidy garage, and you should see my garden, it's beautiful, and, you know, I did a lot of that kind of thing, you know, so I've done bits and bobs, obviously. I've done some music stuff, and I've invested in different things, financially and stuff, and some property and stuff like that. So I've always got things to keep me busy and what have you, but I just didn't want to do anything with music, really. I just felt I needed to get away from it, you know.
So what changed that all of a sudden made you get back onto the scene and going to do gigs? And rumor is that you perhaps even considering recording new material.
Well, I think the main thing, to be honest, was that I had loads of offers to come, you know, and sing different parts of the world and different stuff, and I had an offer one time to go to Japan, and my wife and daughter were desperate to go to Japan. They loved the idea of doing that, and I'd been a few times, and I told them how great it was and everything, and, you know, and it's one of those places that you're never really going to book a holiday to Tokyo, are you? That's not, doesn't come up on your list, not for most people. So and I'm going to be honest, they offered me loads of money. So I kind of said, yeah, okay, I'll do it, whatever, we'll go, we'll have a holiday, I'll do the 3 gigs, and then I'll just forget about it. It'll just be something, a little dot on the horizon, and that'll be what it is. And I went out the first night, I sang the first couple of tunes, and I just thought, why the hell haven't I done this before? Because I think sometimes in life you just need a bit of distance from stuff, whether it's an old girlfriend or whatever it is, you just need a bit of perspective. And I didn't realise that probably I'd sort of arrived at that point where it was okay to do it. You know what I mean? I didn't feel any... I was a bit nervous about it, obviously, because I hadn't done it for years, but as soon as I started singing and got on the stage and stuff, I was fine. And I just really enjoyed it, and it felt like fun, to be honest. It didn't feel like hard work or anything. It didn't feel like a chore. It didn't feel like, oh, why am I doing this? I just really enjoyed it. It was a bit of fun, and I thought, you know what? Yes, these are my songs. I wrote some of these songs as well. It was just a fun thing to do. And then that's when I got back from Japan. I discussed it with a couple of different promoters and stuff, and just decided that I'd start doing a couple here and a couple there, and then it's grown into me doing it quite a bit. So it's good.
Yeah, I mean, it's grown incredibly. I mean, you were here in South Africa in February, the Rewind Festival, which just took Durban by storm. And I must say, it just was, the memories, the fun that was had by everybody was incredible. But how is it for Rick Astley now to share a stage with all of those massive bands when all of you were fighting amongst each other for the chance? I mean, do you guys, are there still any sort of sort of rivalries, or have you all grown up and said, oh well, let's just go out there and have a party with everyone?
Well, let me start by saying nobody argues with Tony Hadley. Have you seen the size of the man?
The Spandam, that's for sure. And he's been here a few times, I got to tell you.
Say yes and no to Tony, that's all you do. No, he's a really nice guy, actually, Tony. I get on with it. I've done loads of gigs with Tony, actually, and I get on with him really well. So I think the thing is, we're all just over the ego thing. Obviously, we've got a bit of ego still, because you've got to get on a stage, but I just think, what's important to us all is that we all have a good time and that we all enjoy it, because it's one of those things that I think we all understand where we all are. We all used to be what I would call proper famous.
Yeah.
We've all had our moment in the sun, as it were, and yet, there's still a value in what we do, I think, and it took me quite a while to realise that, like I say, really, that there is a value in seeing some of the older guys get up and do their tunes, and I think we all appreciate that about each other, so, to be honest, especially somewhere like South Africa, I'll be looking forward to a glass of red wine after the gig and hanging by the pool the day after. It's much more of a... and to be honest, I try not to make it into something that it doesn't have to be. I don't make it hard work. If I can see that something's going to be hard work, I just say no to it. I just say, you know what, I don't want to do those gigs. And unless they double the fee or whatever, then I just don't want to do it, and that's what I do. I say, look, you know what, I've done enough travelling for now. I need a couple of months. I don't want to do any more, or whatever it is. If there's some places that, I've been to loads of times before, I'm a bit like, well, I've been there, done that. Maybe I'll do it in a year or two or whatever if the offers are still there. So I kind of try to just treat it as not a holiday, but I try and enjoy it. You know what I mean? And
of course,
because there's no point otherwise. I'm not the richest man in the world, but I'm doing okay, and I don't need to do another gig to pay the gas bill. Let's put it that way. And I kind of think to myself, well, you're in that really lucky position. Well, do the ones you want to do and really enjoy it. And I think then the audience respond to that. You know what I mean? I think if you're having a good time, it works. If you go up there and there's any hint that you're miserable or whatever, you may as well not be doing it. So
yeah, very fair comment.
Rick, I'd just like to know, having taken such a long break, how have you find performing and doing concerts? Has the nature of concerts changed? You look at someone like U2, their whole concert's actually an experience.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you picked probably one of the best performing acts that's ever lived there.
Yeah.
But you look at the catalogue of songs they've got, and I mean, those guys, they're in a different league, I think, just in the way that they just work so well together as a band and everything. I think if you took them individually, I don't know whether they're the best players in the world or not, and what have you. I think Bono's an amazing singer, by the way. I think they're all amazing. But what I'm saying is, as a band, they just do something that no one else has been able to come close to, I think. So, but them aside...
Sorry, I didn't mean to throw you in there.
Yeah, going big this, sorry.
Yeah, I think the thing is, a lot of what's changed for me personally is that when you do gigs with a number of people like this, it's almost a bit like the festival thing that's been massive in the last sort of 5 or 10 years, where people go to the gig not necessarily just to see one artist, they're going kind of for a day and an evening out, really, and they kind of accept the fact that, you know, act number 3 might not be their favourite one, but that's okay because they like the next couple. And I think that's quite a good thing in a way, because it takes the pressure off the artist, definitely. And it also means that people can go and get a beer without feeling they're missing something. You know, because there's always a moment when they think, oh, I really hate this song, so off they go. So, you know, so I think I've done a few this year, actually. I just did one, the Rewind that I did here in the UK, in Henley.
Mm-hmm.
I think they get 30,000 people to that.
Wow.
It's massive. It's ridiculous. And there is definitely an ego boost in doing that, for sure. But I like to mix and match it a bit. You know, sometimes I do little gigs on my own, and that could be, I don't know, that could be more like a couple of thousand or even 500 people in a small club or something. And I'm going to do a little tour in October here in the UK, just before we come out to South Africa, actually. And that's going to be tiny little venues. I'm going to play some new songs, so, you know, I would never dream of doing that at a gig where there are other artists and it's about the 80s, obviously, but this will be my little gig, so I'll do that and enjoy it, you know. So, and I think that's, like I say, I'm too old not to enjoy it, if you know what I mean. So I like to mix and match and do a bit of everything. So.
Well, Rick, I mean, it seems as though you and everybody else that came down for Rewind in February had such a great time. I mean, here you guys are coming back again. Can you give us some more details on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think what it was, the way I understood it anyway, that that it was kind of like, let's try it out and see if it works. And I think they were really happy with the way it worked, and I think the audience loved it. And so I thought, well, okay, let's, you know, I'm sure it's something they might do every year or every couple of years, you know. So, like I said, I'm really glad that we're actually going to Cape Town and Joburg as well, because I enjoyed my time in Durban, but I think for the rest of the world, Cape Town especially, I think, is one of those places.
Yeah.
And obviously, since the World Cup and everything, we all know a bit more about South Africa and what have you. And I've got friends who are from South Africa, and my wife was down there working some years back and stuff, and said great things. So I'm looking forward to that. I mean, to be honest, I don't really love flying, and I wanted to drive from Cape Town to Joburg.
Oh, okay.
And I kept saying to them, no, I'll drive it. I'll just rent a car and I'll drive it. And they said, no, you don't want to do that. It's a crazy road. People drive nuts, you know. And so I'll be fine, you know. I'll drive all over Europe and all over America and everything. I'll be fine, you know. But we're going to fly it in the end, because they all got into a bit of a panic that I would never make it, you know, never get there. But I must say, I love doing that. I've just driven to Budapest in Hungary, which is like, believe me, that is a long drive from the UK. That is,
Yeah.
I could probably get to Africa in less time, to be honest. So, but I like doing it because you get a sense of where you are. You get a sense of the country. You know, I drove through the Czech Republic after that, and then up into Germany and stuff. You know, and
Beautiful.
there's something about traveling that way that you actually get to feel it. And anyway, I think they're going to show us around a bit when we're down your way, so that'll be nice. And I'm sure we'll get a nice glass of red wine somewhere, maybe in a little winery or something. So I'm sure we'll have a good time.
Rick, I'd just like to know, when you're not performing and traveling the world, what music do you like to listen to?
I listen to a bit of everything. We've got a 20-year-old daughter, and she puts me right occasionally, you know, and plays me new bands and stuff. And I do the same with her. She'll play me something, and then I say, well, actually, that band sounds like this band from whenever, you know, the 70s or the 80s or what have you, and, you know. But I listen to everything because I think we all do, you know, because of iPhones and iWhatevers. Then, you know, we just mix it up a lot more, don't we? You know, so I still like my old classic favourites, Al Green and people like that, and Bill Withers and a bit of American soul and stuff. But
yeah, I was gonna ask, was that the music that you grew up with? Because I'm just fascinated, Rick, on how it all started. Because you have an incredible vocal range. And I think we found that out after you did the whole Stock Aitken Waterman stuff. How did you all of a sudden, going from listening to Al Green and Bill Withers into, you know, an incredible, very poppy kind of sound?
To be honest, because when I signed to Pete Waterman, I kind of thought I'd just get to live in London for a couple of months, do a single, and we'll see what happens. I genuinely did. And what happened was they got really busy doing a couple of different things, a couple of different acts. And in that sort of time, in that year, from when they signed me to when they actually released the first single, they'd become the biggest producers in Europe.
Yeah, they were massive.
The world, in a way, you know, pop producers. And so, to be honest, I just did it for a bit. I just thought, I was in a band, I loved being in the band, I really enjoyed it, and I just thought, well, we'll see how it goes. And it went rather well. So I just kind of it was a bit of a runaway train, to be honest, and I just kind of hung on and just enjoyed it for what it was. It wasn't the big decision of, all right, I'm going to be with these producers because they know exactly what they're doing and da-da-da. Because they were a bit unknown when I signed to them, you know what I mean? I didn't really know who they were, and I don't think anybody did. So
Sure.
they just happened to become this juggernaut, and they developed the sound of the way that they, produced their records, a bit like Motown did in the 60s. Whenever a Motown record comes on now, you instantly know it's Motown, don't you? Because it's just, same people producing, writing, the whole thing, and that's what they did. They made a little sound for themselves, or a big sound for themselves, as it turns out. And it's weird, very strange.
Rick, it's a great pleasure to speak to you. And when you're in South Africa next, and you make way from Cape Town through to Johannesburg, we definitely extend an invitation to get you live in studio with us and come and have a bit of a jam.
Fantastic. Why don't you come by the pool instead and bring a cocktail?
Well, we can do that as well. Anything's possible. But it's great to speak to you, and we wish you well in the travels, and also hopefully you'll bring us out some new material as well.
Yeah, one day. Listen, I'm going to keep it to the 80s for this trip, but one day, you never know, I might come doing some small venues and just do a Rick night. We'll see.
Listen, last thing, because we do a lot of sport over here, and you Merseyside based. So who are you, Everton or Liverpool?
Oh, listen, man, you better stop right there. I don't support either of those teams. I wasn't actually born in Merseyside. I was born in the county of Lancashire.
Okay.
It's all changed since I was a kid. Now it's called Greater Manchester, and it's called Merseyside. My mum. If you say that my mum lives in Merseyside, you are in for a fight. I will tell you that right now. My mum.
Sorry, Mrs. Astley.
My mum is a Lancashire lass, and that is it. So I support Manchester United. So.
Okay, well, there we go. We can't all be perfect.
No.
Rick Astley, it's great to have you on Ballz Visual Radio. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Cheers. Bye.
2 p.m. to 6 p.m. Mondays to Fridays live on Ballz.co.za. Ballz.co.za.